Welcome, everybody, to the latest Comics Aficionados. I'm your host, Wes, from Thinking Critical, as always. I got a great panel today. Didn't know what we were going to talk about, and then Dan Didio was in all kinds of news recently, so we're going to talk a lot about DC Comics. So I brought in some ringers, some guys that know their stuff on DC, and I brought in Doc. How you doing today, Doc?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Bunch of people that know what they're talking about, and me.
Yes, of course, Doc is more known for being the X-Men aficionado, the X-Men historian on the channel, but we got some stuff to talk about as well, and he definitely reads DC as well. Also with us, we've got Josh. He's writing his master's on heroic archetypes, specifically about Dick Grayson. He's studied comics and specifically DC Comics in great deal. Love having you on the channel, buddy.
Good to be back. Glad to be here.
Also with us is the real comic book gamer, big Superman fan, the Superman aficionado here. Love it when we can get you on and talk about some DC Comics. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me back.
And of course, last but not least, the retail aficionado, the salty dog himself.
I'm not that salty.
And you're pickle 24/7. Everyone knows it. How you doing, Pele?
I wish I was pickled 24/7. I'd be able to handle most of these comics that are coming out. I'm doing great. Yeah, it's nice. It's 72 degrees here right now.
Oh,
perfect.
That sounds wonderful.
Yes,
I wish it was that cool here. But okay, let's get right into the show. We're going to talk about the big news of the week. Batman 86. New creator Tom King is off. James Tynion is in. Josh, I know that you had a lot of issues, along with a lot of people, with Tom King's take on Bruce Wayne and his take on Batman. What are your thoughts on James Tynion? Was it a good change?
Yeah, I think it was a great change. It wasn't a issue that knocked me dead or anything. I feel like it had some moments that weren't so great, but I also think a lot of those moments were Tynion having his hands tied by what King had done in his run. I think at this point we all know how we feel about Tom King's Batman, but James Tynion, I think, is being put into kind of a tough situation because we all kind of know that 5G is coming. We're going to be getting new stuff with Batman, in about 6-7 months or so. So it only gives him about 14 or 15 issues to kind of do what he wants to do and tell the story he wants to tell. But I definitely feel like it had its high points. Tony Daniel's art is always really good. His fight, it just kind of brought him right back into, that detective work. He did all the detective work to find the assassins that came into Gotham. And, obviously the fight with Deathstroke was off screen, which kind of thought was a little wonky. I don't know why they did that, but it just pulled him out of this mopey, sobby, emotional Batman, put him right back into the streets. He's kicking ass, taking these assassins out. He takes Deathstroke down. And I think I stand by everything that's been said about this on the channel so far, that he really hit home with Alfred's death, just showing how Batman was grieving, Alfred. And when he, is on the comms thing and he calls for Alfred to come, open up that block at Arkham, and Lucius Fox has to say yeah, he's not here. It's just me. And you just see Batman's face. It's whoa, that had more emotional impact than Alfred's death panel did. And when King had him killed off by Bane. So overall, I feel it was a step in the right direction. I just hope Tynion has enough time to tell the story he wants to tell. And hopefully, whatever happens with Batman and 5G will be just as good as this. Hopefully it's a step in the right direction for him.
Mm-hmm. I definitely, the Alfred stuff is what really hit me. That's what he really improved upon. Tynion is being saddled down with a lot of extra baggage and things that he needs to fix. And I think handling that, first off, was a smart move. It was something that was a dark cloud over Batman at the moment, and I think he's doing a good job. Dylan, what did you think? Did he handle it well? Is this what you were hoping for?
It was a good issue. I agree. I liked it. It wasn't anything amazing or anything, but it was a good issue to show what he'll do for the rest of his run. And I agree with what he did with Alfred. It hit home really well about how Bruce feels about that. But Bruce also isn't so sad about Alfred that he can't do anything. Is just moping around. And it was nice seeing Batman doing something before, by himself for a change. He didn't need Catwoman there to give him a pep talk to to fight Deathstroke or anything like that. My only problem is I'm a huge Deathstroke fan, and it sucks to have Deathstroke go from having like one of, if not my favorite fight in all of comics, in Deathstroke issue number 7 during City of Assassins, where Deathstroke beats down Batman, gives him this whole speech about how he is just simply better than Batman, and because of that, Batman will never be able to beat him. He goes from that to getting beaten off screen, and it's like, that kind of sucks. Like, for the past decade or so, Deathstroke's just been turned into this Boba Fett type character where he looks cool, but he doesn't do anything but get beat up. So I wasn't expecting much, but I was hoping for maybe a little more. So that part I was a little salty about. But the rest of the book was good. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more. And it was nice to have a Batman back and not have him just be all sad and mopey.
I actually had I had one customer in particular asking, "Is Deathstroke dead?" Because he looked dead in that one panel. I was like,
"Yeah, he did."
I was like, "I don't think so. I don't think so." But somebody else is like, it's. God, I hope not. Let's put it that way.
He's not dead. But real quick, I just want to say that I am happy that Tony Daniel did away with the stupid suit that they brought in during Christopher Priest's run. That suit was so stupid and such a crutch. I hated it so much during that run. So immediately in this, Tony Daniel brought him back to like his New 52 suit that he brought in, which was much better. So I was happy about that at least.
Oh, his Deathstroke was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Maybe the best part of the whole comic as far as art. Although I love Tony Daniel's Gotham.
Yeah. Looks pretty sick.
I just like Tony Daniel.
Doc, I know we've had this conversation about X-Men. What is it with creators doing these wonderful fight scenes off panel? I want to see the action.
I don't know. Stop it. I mean, I get it. Like, hey, you're being forced to get these books in every 3 weeks so they can release 2 issues a month. And so you have to find a way to economize that, and having the fight mostly off panel is one way. Plus the fact that I think a lot of these writers are just shoving in so much dialogue that there's no space for the actual fights. Like, you just sit there and go, you flip if you're the artist, you sit there and flip through the script. By the time you're done, you're like, okay, well, all I'm doing is drawing people have conversations. I'm a superhero comic book artist. It's a superhero comic. There's got to be super heroics. Come on, fight somebody. And they don't do it. I don't know what it is.
Especially when you have like 2 characters with such a history as Batman and Deathstroke, as far as being combatant, and it's amazing fight scenes that have been drawn over the decades between the two, and just it's almost embarrassing. In fact, it is embarrassing that they would actually have a fight so monumental just completely off panel. That's
they've been doing this in a lot of comics. There's other comics that they actually put the fights right on screen, but a lot of the X books have been doing it, and then they did it in this one. Just put the fight on the page. That's what we're paying for. We're not paying $4 or $5 an issue to see the fight happen off screen and then read a bunch of talking heads. Write better and write more economical. Don't bring your comic book down to a TV budget. You're literally making a blockbuster with an unlimited budget every single month. Do it.
So there were some other changes. We know that James Tynion had talked about in his mission statement and stuff. Pele, what do you think about this? Basically, Alfred is being replaced half by Lucius Fox, half by Selena Kyle, and Selena Kyle was kind of at the new Wayne campus, and she's hobnobbing with all the young billionaires in Gotham. They're kind of moving away from the old money, and they're going to use the new money to help rebuild Gotham, a new Gotham in the memory of Alfred. What do you think about that? Does that fit in character to you?
I'm just so sick of I'm so sick of Selena Kyle, Catwoman. I mean, I'm so sick of the Bat Cat garbage. At least they didn't do that.
Well, you know what? Well, the one thing that would actually make sense about that, especially if they use it later, would be, it's new money. Let's be honest, they're idiots. Most new money doesn't stick around very long because they lose it.
Yeah.
So her going in and finding a way to con them into giving her the money to do whatever the hell she wants them to do would be kind of great, because they're going to be much more willing to do that, make changes and whatnot and put their money into that. Who cares if they're broke afterwards? She doesn't.
Well, I mean, it's a noble cause. I mean, they are wanting to improve Gotham, and most of the old money is organized crime anyway in Gotham. So, I think the new money was explained as, tech entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So, you've got a lot of, progressive types, I'm sure, that are just looking for anything that's new and hip to dump their money into. But, it's just, that character, the relationship to me just has so much baggage right now. I wish they'd just send her on vacation somewhere, just for a while, just to get the taste out of everybody's mouth. It's just been,
let Tom King handle it in his miniseries.
Right, exactly. That's what that's for. Just kind of, okay, you deal with this over here. Let's have some bonding time between Bruce and Lucius, and kind of rebuild that, and because he's in desperate need of not really a father figure, but more of a older mentor type right now to kind of, grieve, still get a lot of it out and talk things over with, and from what I can see, he and Selena Kyle's relationship is, still kind of antagonistic. So, it just isn't. It's not something that I would really want to explore as a writer right now. Just kind of let King made his bed. He needs to sleep in it. He needs to deal with that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody else have anything they want to talk about Batman 86? Maybe things that they noticed, or maybe some of the directions that they think this is going to go? All right, let's move on. So the next topic we're going to talk about today, before we do this, if you're watching the video, if you're enjoying, please give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it, and please support the channel and kill that thumbs up button. All right, so the 2019 final comic sales are in, and it looks like Batman dominated the scene. Had 2 comics, single issue comics in the top 10. Detective Comics 1000 was number 1. Deceased number 1, which heavily featured Batman, was number 5. As far as graphic novels, Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman White Knight, Alan Moore and Brian Boland's Batman the Killing Joke, and Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermeo's Batman Damned were all in the top 10 best-selling graphic novels of the year. Pele is Batman. Batman is clearly the character that butters the bread for DC Comics.
Yes.
With all these numbers, how much better would it have been if they hadn't tarnished the character so much in 2019?
Oh, I mean, it's striking, really, that all of the great Batman titles in terms of sales that came out in 2019 Batman comics, King had no involvement in any of them. So that really explains a lot right there. It's awful. It's awful that what has the turn as far as the main, the eponymous title, is what has happened. It's just, it would have really been impressive if they'd have made this move like 20 issues earlier, when they saw it, kind of wrap it up after the wedding. They saw that everything imploded. They had all the returns and everything like that. If they'd been able to turn on a dime at that point and kind of, push him out, before then, probably, we wouldn't see the decay of sales by 40% at the end of the year. So, and that's directly, that's money directly out of retailers' pockets too. That's not just hurting DC and Diamond at that point. But it's still hot. Batman is still hot. Batman is still an amazing character. It's just, every once in a while, DC's just got to come and, stick like a balloon, hit it with a pin, and it deflates some of the air out of him. It's just it's very aggravating.
Well, DC had convinced themselves that the backlash from the wedding would be only temporary, and that it would jump right back up to normal Batman numbers afterwards, because they always convince themselves that it's temporary. They never made a bad decision that they actually regret.
Yeah. It's I don't. Tynion's never going to see pre-King. I mean, early King numbers. It's just that 120, 130,000 issue. Consistently every single issue is gone for a while. And
you don't think he'll get that number on this debut?
Huh?
You don't think he'll hit that number on this debut? I was expecting it to go up to like 140.
I think that 86 was like 93,000, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I saw that. I think I saw that from the early pre-sale numbers. It could be more, but you've also got to factor in that it's hard to tell anything now that they've with all the variants and everything like that. And also as everybody, as I like to remind everyone, sales don't actually mean sales.
Yeah.
So. I've still got half of my Batman base who is not back. They're still like sitting waiting, wait and see issue by issue kind of situation rather than having it as a permanent pull. So I still don't have those guys back.
There's a stigma of distrust with the reader base still with DC Comics, especially knowing that Batman isn't really back. It's kind of I think James Tynion is probably going to come back and do Batman after 5G. At least that's what it sounds like, with his plans. But they know there's going to be a halt in Batman. He's going to go away, and you're going to have months on end where it's a new character.
Yeah. I don't think that 5G like most of the other endeavors, as far as newer, different, reboots, of these old characters, it's going to fail because it always fails, and they're going to run back, of course, to Bruce Wayne, and they're going to milk, what stories that do come out through Black Label and whatnot, that feature Bruce Wayne. So. There's a method to their madness, but it's not going to help the customer out. It's not going to help the retailers out. So, and I am salty about that, because if it's not helping me, I really don't care. My goodwill towards, trying to improve DC's brand at this point is almost next to nothing. So.
Well, what do you think about the name of the next event? It sounds like the name's going to be, is it Death Metal? That's what I hear, right?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Steiner and Greg Capullo's Death Metal.
Yeah. And everybody.
That thing is probably going to sell really well, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because you got a lot of fans of Batman Who Laughs. You got a lot of fans of the more gothic horror elements there, but even they're punch drunk right now. So it's right now, as far as what I'm seeing from DC, if they can, well, no, because you've got Bendis. I really don't know. I don't really see a very bright future right now as far as DC in their main titles. It's just, I wish that, we could take a magic wand and just kind of get rid of Bendis at this point from, what he's doing. But I don't think that's.
Well, I don't know if Dylan would go along with that.
God, I wish we could get rid of Bendis. That'd solve so many problems right now. He's writing way too many books.
All right, so I gotta ask you. I know, Peely and I did it. We kind of roasted the book on Worst of the Week because we had to, but. Did you read Action 1018?
No, I've not read it.
You're so
good for
lucky.
you.
It's so lucky. It's so bad. It's one of the
really one of the worst in his run.
Low for 2020. It's bad.
Or
Just
actually,
to cover. What's that?
That's the one after the identity reveal, right?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
no, it's they kind of retconned it to be 2 days before the identity reveal.
Right.
Because
Okay.
before then, he revealed his identity to the fire chief because she needed Superman's endorsement for mayor.
What?
Yeah.
Guess what she says when it happens, Dylan? When he reveals his identity that Clark Kent is Superman and he's gonna endorse her for mayor. Guess what she asks?
Does she say I knew the whole time or something?
No. She says, "Are you still married to Lois Lane? I love her."
That's so stupid. Well, in like Action 17, he goes to show Jimmy that he's Clark, and he's all excited to tell his best friend Jimmy Olsen that he's actually Clark Kent. And he's like, "Oh, Miss Lane already told me." And then he goes and he talks to Lois about it, and he's all sad, and he's like, "Man, I was looking forward to telling Jimmy." She's like, "Well, I knew Jimmy longer than I knew you, so I already told him." And like Clark's all like sad for that entire page. He's like, "Oh man, I was looking forward to telling Jimmy."
But it's got the origin story for I think her name's Red Cloud. I think I was calling her Red Mist. It doesn't matter. One of the dumbest origins, most unimaginative, stupidest origins I've ever seen. He takes an enormous crap all over everything Scott Snyder's doing in Justice League with his new version of Lex Luthor and Perpetua. You can't make it up, man. It's amazing.
Superboy Prime is back.
Shows up.
Yeah.
Hey, Superboy Prime is back. Yeah, that'll be at least we'll get to see some unmitigated carnage for a while.
Yeah.
Where did he come back in?
Wasn't Shazam? What's yeah. He's coming back. I think the artist like revealed him, and he's like coming back soon.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you
awesome.
see you see the Justice League just kind of like beating all the crap, laying all over the place, and he's just doing the Superman pose, while his foot's propped up on a tombstone. And I'm like, oh, that's not so bad. At least that's a positive.
And at least it's Jeff Johns writing him too, so it's not like Bendis brought him back.
It's the
I
cover
don't know
of
how he
Shazam
brought him back
13.
again.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's the cover of Shazam number 13.
Yeah, I probably punched his way out of the Phantom Zone again or something. So
Reality punch.
Happening.
Yeah.
Well, he's done it before. He punched his way out of the Phantom Zone twice, out of the Speed Force even. So
it goes back to literally his original appearance of him going bad in what was it? Final Crisis? No, not Final Crisis.
Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis.
Yeah,
he punched his way through reality.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Like it's just kind of an ongoing joke at this point.
But the Hulk did it first.
Yeah,
the Hulk was the first one that ever punched his way out of a multiverse. It was Hulk, I think.
Maybe, but it became synonymous with the character as a result, and it's just been a joke ever since.
But not as bad as like Deadpool breaking the fourth wall with jokes.
Yeah, it was, it became kind of quintessential to his character, like Wolverine saying "bub."
Mm-hmm.
Superboy Prime punches through nebulous, non-existent, non-physical things somehow.
All right, so we got a couple more topics that we need to cover more in depth. I'm glad we got to this one so fast. So Wonder Woman 750 is going to debut the new DC Comics timeline, and this is the quote from Dan Didio. One of the first places you'll see this happening is in Wonder Woman 750. The change in numbering is purposeful in the sense that Wonder Woman 750 is the first time that we're acknowledging the timeline and establishing Wonder Woman as our first superhero in the story by Scott Snyder and Brian Hitch. Something similar is going to be happening in The Flash as well. So, Dylan, Jeff Johns just put in so much work, years worth of time and effort. It feels like, Doomsday Clock kind of got messed with as far as what he was doing. And now, the things he established aren't even true anymore. What are your thoughts on Wonder Woman being the very first DC Comics superhero?
Honestly, I don't care that much, and I honestly don't get why Dan DiDio thinks people care that much. It's like, hey guys, we're debuting a new timeline. Aren't you excited? Who cares? Like, who's looking forward to buy this to see a new timeline? Is that what comic fans get excited about? New timelines? I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going to sell books. But it is sad to see all that work that Jeff Johns put in to the metaverse and everything starts with Superman now focus and be like, Wonder Woman's where it all starts. That is disappointing.
Here's the thing. While Didio may be correct that Wonder Woman was the first superhero, she's not the pivot point of the universe.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's where it's Superman was and always will be the pivotal character of the universe. So while she may be the first, it's the equivalent of the Justice Society. They were there first, sorta, kinda, but they don't matter as much as Superman. It's just that simple.
So, Doc, do you think that DC is playing with fire here because Marvel tried to do something similar with Captain Marvel? They're just like, okay, all of a sudden she's the mightiest hero in our entire universe. She didn't really earn it. No one believed it, and it basically made people resent the character and turn away from it. Do you think that they could put some of that stink on Wonder Woman, or is she so popular now that she can transcend them kind of bogging her down with a title that people don't believe that she deserves?
I don't think this is going to matter. I think that they've easily written themselves out of it already, because all they have to do is just, okay, she was first. Yay. Congratulations. Nobody, that's not going to really matter, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it's going to. And I don't think people are really going to care that much.
Well, Feige already backtracked on the Captain Marvel being the most powerful. I mean, now it's Wanda Maximoff. So it's
Wow.
he kind of slyly did that. Oh, this is. Have you ever seen Thanos more afraid? I was like, well, yeah, actually, I did see him more afraid. But it's just. Yeah, okay, fine. It's got to be, okay, pick one, pick the Lady of the Week who's going to be the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. And it's got to be rotated out now to DC too. So.
No, it was always Scarlet Witch. Sorry, it still is. It was, and always will be. But it doesn't matter. The thing is, nobody cared. Like they were what they said about the movies, and that was just more ammunition for people that already hated Carol to continue hating her. When they tried to, spread it into the movies too from the comics, nobody cares. That's what it comes down to. And I think I don't think it matters. This is a pointless and an irrelevant title to be granted to, like how Apocalypse or Namor, depending on which week it is the oldest mutant. Nobody cares. It's not relevant. Just having her being the first superhero in the DC universe is not going to end up being relevant because they never claimed that she is the most important.
No,
they never claimed that she is the pivotal. They've never claimed that she's the one that kind of sparked the universe into existence. It's still always going to be Superman. And that's the way that most readers are going to see it.
I mean, I thought that was brilliant in Doomsday Clock. Absolutely gorgeous the way that everything, the way that he wrote, the photograph every single place that he went, dropping the photograph there at a particular point, to draw it back to Superman. And this beautiful story that could have gone forward and and brought DC up to date as far as at least for the most part having to deal with their continuity. And I can only imagine that it was probably Bendis or whoever, that talked, Didio into not going with that. But it's just, I don't know what the politics is right now over there at DC, but I can tell you that their least concern right now is regarding continuity or how their long-standing superheroes are going to fare going into the next phase of.
So, Josh, did you see the quotes from Dan Didio talking about Doomsday Clock? How it was like the timing is unreliable, so he couldn't fit it into the continuity of DC on all the titles now. So they're going to do it after the fact.
I didn't see that, but it doesn't surprise me that he said something that's stupid. I mean, the man has his head up his ass constantly. But I was just actually reading up on some of the stuff he said about the new timeline starting with Wonder Woman 750, and it makes me angry that they're trying to, like, oh man, okay. So Wonder Woman is a big enough superhero, like, and I mean, she's always been a huge force in DC, with the Justice League. We've always had the Holy Trinity with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So she's not necessarily like Captain Marvel, where Marvel was just like, oh, we're going to put all our eggs in this character, and she's the strongest, she's the best. Like, that could actually work for Wonder Woman, but DC already has their pivot point and their first guy with Superman. Like, that's who it is. Like, chronologically, that's who it is. We would not have modern superhero comics the way we do if it wasn't for Action #1 in 1938. Like, that's just what it is. And to listen to him go out there and say, oh, we're doing this new timeline and blah, blah, blah. It's like, get your head out of your ass. You're so stupid. No one cares about this stuff. You tried to do it with the New 52, 9 years ago, and it failed miserably, and it's going to fail again. Like, the timeline that all of your fans wanted was Doomsday Clock. You had that given to us. Like, you finally gave that to us, and you just stared it dead in the face. And you're like, oh no, I'm good on that. I'm gonna go give you something else. It's like, I just don't understand how that man's mind works. I don't understand it at all. And I mean, I don't understand what you just said, his quotes about, oh, we have to do it after the fact. It's like, yeah, well, if you would have kept your creative teams on the rails and not brought in this washed up, has-been absolute idiot Bendis that just took a dump all over your best characters in your current continuity, you wouldn't have had to write Doomsday Clock into continuity after the fact. Everything was streamlined with Rebirth and gunning right towards that path of Doomsday Clock, and you just stared it dead in the face, and you just like, oh, we're gonna go a different direction, and then you come back and say, oh, we'll fit Doomsday Clock in after the fact. It's like, everything that's happened here is your fault. You're the one who brought Bendis in. Bendis took a dump all over everything. He shit the bed, and you let Tom King go off the rails. He shit the bed. Like, you let all this happen. You're the publisher. Like, rein in your creators. This is no one's fault but your own. Like, oh, we have to write Doomsday Clock in after the fact. My God, he's just so stupid. Oh, God.
Man, we got people talking about timeline variant covers.
Yeah,
I couldn't be more excited. I want the timeline variant cover.
I hope they have a giant timeline banner to put across all the books too. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they can call it DC Legacy, and when the 5G happens, they'll have a story with the original character and then the replacement. And in the comic, the original guy will talk about how great the replacement is and how much they're better than they are. Wouldn't that be original?
That'd be great.
No. Yeah, just like Marvel now. Awesome.
Dude, we'd have Bruce Wayne being like, I wasn't the Batman Gotham deserved. Luke Fox was. You love Gotham more than I do. What was I even thinking being here? You're the man.
Well, they're doing that with Batwoman, on WB anyway. It's just, or CW rather. I don't know if anybody's even tried to watch that show or not.
Nope.
Oh God.
I tuned out of that stuff a long time ago. It's trash now.
I saw the commercial. That was enough. So, Dylan, what do you think they're going to do with Doomsday Clock and this timeline thing? Are they going to be able to find a way to fit it all together? Or are they just going to mention that Doomsday Clock existed maybe?
I think they're going to have to, because a big part of it was bringing the Kents back. I think that's definitely going to come to fruition. We're going to see that in the main continuity. So I feel like they're going to have to, because fans love Doomsday Clock. It sold well, and then there were great ideas in it. So I feel like there are definitely going to be things they ignore and act like they didn't happen, but I think there are definitely some things that they're going to have to and be like, okay, we'll bring this into main continuity. And I think they're going to do it. I remember before, like months ago, Tom King and Bendis both had like separate interviews. They're like, oh yeah, it all wraps up with Doomsday Clock. Don't worry, guys. We're definitely feeding into Doomsday Clock. And they're just like kind of covering for themselves. But I do think that eventually we'll get there to where some of the stuff we saw in Doomsday Clock will show up in other books. But I don't think will have near the impact that originally we thought it did when issue 1 came out. I think it's much lessened now, but I do think that there are elements of it that they'll have to acknowledge that we'll get to eventually.
The Kents coming into continuity worries me. Like, no, I'd rather them not. Like, you know what? Yeah, like, no, we don't need that being tossed into the crap pile that Bendis is making over there in the Superman scene. Like, just don't bother with them. Just leave them go. It's okay.
All right, I gotta ask, what do you think? What do you think Bendis could do with the Kents? Like, maybe
I don't want to think about it.
Pocket could transition. That'd be interesting.
Maybe the Kents. Maybe the Kents adopt a very intelligent 12-year-old black girl that is definitely unlike any other character Bendis has ever created. Very
Bam,
unique.
You got it.
Yeah,
Boom.
there you go.
You got it. You wrote it for him. Nailed it.
Wow, Naomi could become Superman's sister, but Superman could acknowledge that his sister is even better than he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Like, you would just walk around each issue and be like, "Wow, you're so smart! I can't. I would never have thought of that. You're so much better at this."
We could call it. Yeah,
fast.
They could call it Superman Discovery.
The thing is, I can see all that happening too. It's just
yeah, absolutely.
Nothing matters. Nothing matters. It's just none of their plot lines matter. And people have to realize that DC cares so little about the stories, the continuity, the characters going forward that they literally just could shovel anything into the books, and I guess they believe that people will buy them, and if the sales figures are any indication, that's absolutely not true. So I don't know what else to say on that. There's nothing. We talked about the sales numbers as far as people have to realize something. We're just now getting back in sales numbers. Last year was basically the same sales numbers as the post-recession numbers. So it's interesting that when you account for inflation and everything like that, they're still 7 or 8% behind. And
well, if you go by issues, it's a lot more behind. It's dollar sales where there's a tiny bit of growth. But if you go by the issues, because the prices keep rising, DC Black Label has brought in a lot of prices increases. Marvel, when they launch a #1 of any character of note, it's like an $8 comic now. It's not even $6 anymore. It's going to be $8, and it's ridiculous. And of course, DC Comics 1000, it's $10 comic. All these fake milestones. Marvel Comics 1000. So the average price is going up. So the dollars sold went up, but when you look at the issues shipped, it's actually gone down.
Yeah, and it's the same way with Marvel. So it's I wonder at a certain point, when are all when are the comic stores just going not going to be able to survive at this point? And we went to back issues, and it's been great. But there still has to be new comics, and maybe that doesn't have. I don't know. It's there are stores that survive right now without even getting new comics. So
it's kind of weird, because with DC, we know that this crisis is coming up. We know that 5G is coming up. Like, I was gonna read that Suicide Squad, and I was like, why? Why would I even pay the money for it? It means nothing. Like.
Yep.
I'm gonna get the Justice League with Venditti just because he's my favorite writer, but I know that nothing that he writes is going to end up impacting anything. It's just I'm going to read it because I like him.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really disappointing. Like I'm behind on a lot of titles right now because of school, but like before I was very excited to catch up on them, and now with this crisis and stuff coming, I'm like, well, does it matter? You know?
Well, I'm telling people now that I said read the characters that you like. You know, if it's a writer that you can tolerate, and it's characters that you like. Buy the comics, buy the books, enjoy them. You know, this is going to be like, you know, early 60s, early 70s, where continuity just really is. There's no real continuity there anymore. So just enjoy it on a book by book basis, and I think that you'll get more enjoyment out of it. Because
hold on, Pele. I just want to say thank you very much to Michelle Alexandria for the $1.99 super chat. Very much appreciate it. She's one of my favorite subscribers. She actually likes to come in my comments and mess with me and keep me on my toes. And we like to have like a nice back and forth relationship. And I appreciate all that. And thank you very much for being here live. I very much appreciate it. If you have a question, or if you'd like to say something, just let me know.
But
sorry,
yeah, thank you. Appreciate super chats. But I don't think it's really matters on the whole. Is, you know, just enjoy the characters that you like, read the books that you like, the creators that you like. Doesn't matter continuity right now. If you're looking for continuity, you're going to be looking in vain. So that's all I can tell
continuity,
people.
read the Murphyverse.
Yeah,
there's only one creative voice.
And I think that's what it comes down to, because right now the creative voice for most of DC's titles, unfortunately, is a guy who's, you know, apparently schizophrenic, fairly psychotic. You know, he's not really running on all cylinders right now. So he's, you know, they put all their you know, hopes and dreams into somebody who probably should have retired, like Doc said, probably a decade ago. So I can only imagine it had to do with cost, you know, because they don't really want to pay the great writers, and most of them have already gone on to TV and movies. So,
or they're actually retired.
Yeah, or they're actually retired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine what a writer like Louise Simonson could do? You know, if they actually paid her. Yeah, if they actually paid her. If they actually paid,
get her on Superman.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Yeah, her on Superman, Walt on Wonder Woman.
That dude likes fleshing out the
pantheons.
Lore. Yeah.
He loves working in that kind of mystical, more mythological realm, and that would be you know, bring in the Simonsons.
Yep. That's what they should have done rather than Bendis. You know, probably wouldn't have cost that much more money, and they would have actually been able to craft something that, you know, that would be interesting and they would be able to carry forward.
But they wouldn't have been bringing in somebody that will just literally crap out 17 scripts a month.
Yeah. It's like I was saying before we went on the air, you know, I think Bendis has like a random dialogue generator, you know, that he just takes, okay, there's these, you know, the say 5,000, 10,000 most used words in the English language, and I need 3 pages of text. Blech. Okay, there we go. There's 3 panels of narrative, 3 panels of dialogue. Wonderful. So
we're gonna move on. This is kind of related to what we started off talking about. You know, we always go off a little bit. So this is about legacy numbering, proving DC is the new Marvel Comics. Legacy numbering is the new catchphrase, and this is Dan Didio's quote: "The Wonder Woman 750 numbering is not a stunt; it is the ongoing numbering. You will not be seeing a Flash #1 or Wonder Woman #1 in the foreseeable future. That is their new numbering going forward, and you'll see that happening with a couple of other series. It will not happen with every series, but will certainly be happening with some of the key books." Doc, we like I said, this is just rehashing all the stuff that Marvel Comics has done, you know, kind of recently. Why are they Why are they going back to legacy numbering? What's the point?
So that they can have a new number one in the not too distant future, and they can get a milestone. Yeah, I mean, look, they say in the foreseeable future. Foreseeable in modern 2020 comics is only about the next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything beyond about 3 to 4 months from now, at the current rate that they're going, especially with the way that DC was in a position 2 years ago where all they had to do was not F up, and they would be running the industry right now. They'd be the market leader, and then they just started effing everything up. So, unforeseen, and they've been, just kind of falling apart in the process. So unforeseeable to them is like 8 months from now. Like that, it really is. I mean, unforeseeable is they don't know. I mean, they think that, look, do you think that they're actually going to, if they end up replacing Wonder Woman with a different Wonder Woman in 5G?
Sandsmark, right?
Oh, honestly, I haven't the slightest clue. Whatever, whoever it ends up being. Do you honestly believe that they're going to launch that book without a new number one, and that it's just going to be like 784?
I think it's going to be Wonder Woman 5G number one.
Yeah, it'll be a new number one. Mm-hmm. And so while the same with Batman, the same with now detective and action may stick where it is. I don't even know about Superman though.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to Michelle Alexandria for another $2.99 super chat. I very much appreciate supporting on the channel. Like I said, if you have something you would like to say or a question for the panel, we will definitely address that. We always appreciate all the support for the channel. We do have a lot of things, coming up in the future, and we very much appreciate it. Also, I wanted to say thank you to Tevia. He got a $2 super chat. Can we please de-age my boy John Kent, Superboy, please? Well, that's a good idea. What do you think, Dylan? If you were to de-age John Kent, Superboy, how would you do it?
Just say that the John Kent we have is Earth 3 Superboy, and he wanted to escape his psycho parents, but he's also psycho himself because he's Earth 3, so he captured John, tied him up on Earth 3, and left and went to live with his new parents on Prime Earth. Just say that, and then John escapes from Earth 3, comes back, same age he always was, and then there you go. And you'd have an interesting story about taking down Superman having to fight his son. And the Legion of Superheroes, also, you could have him have been within the Legion of Superheroes doing bad stuff as well. You could get a legitimately cool storyline out of that and restore John Kent.
Yep. I'm all for it. Anything that'll bring back Super Sons.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's such a good book. It just makes me smile, and I love the art.
Yeah.
That Jimenez art on the first run. I mean, I like the Barbary art on the Adventure of the Super Sons, but I miss it. It's like an old friend went away.
Yeah, it's so sad that they canceled that book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it had. I just don't think that they have enough ambition really to do anything even close to that right now. But if they can somehow subvert Bendis, then maybe. But it's all going to basically come down to how long they're going to have Bendis around.
True.
Yep.
Yeah.
Him and I think Didio's also a problem with that, but
yeah.
Didio's a problem with everything.
Yeah, because I felt like that moment in Doomsday Clock where Clark and Lois go to see the Kents. I felt like John was supposed to be there, but the age up, they're like, well, I can't have him here. Mm-hmm. And he's with the Legion of Superheroes right now. That was so sad. It would have been great to have John there.
I'm finding out more and more about the rich history of the Legion, and it just makes my skin crawl to think that Bendis has control over those characters. It's disgusting. I
like how no one at DC knew about the race swap till for Lightning Lad till a month before it happened. All the previews showed White Lightning Lad, and then they changed it a month before. Oh yeah, we forgot. No one even knew. It was so odd.
Editorial. That's the wonderful state of comic book editorial right there.
So odd. All those
Nope.
previews.
Nobody knows what they're doing at this point.
Nobody has a clue.
Yeah.
Mhm. Are we still talking about the legacy numbering, or did we move
Absolutely.
past that point?
Anybody got anything to say about the legacy numbering?
Oh, I'm all for it.
Let's hear it.
I like
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry. We interrupted Doc.
No,
Sorry,
it was fine. No, I mean, I like the legacy numbering. I think you'll see it probably onto Justice League, maybe Green Lantern, but that one's going to be a little too hard to stick a legacy number on. I'm not sure who else theoretically could really get but Batman may get, but I don't know how close it would be right now to an anniversary or to a milestone, or whether or not 5G will happen before they get to milestone number territory. I honestly don't know. They may jump back just in order to have, Batman 900 or 800 or whatever number it would be. Hell, it might be Batman 1000. I don't know.
They should be close to Batman 900. I think that would be the closest milestone.
Hold on one second, guys. So Jeff Stafford with the $4.99 super chat. Dio takes the public heat, but is he the final editorial voice? Where does Harris and other leaders fit? Pele, you're the retail aficionado. You actually have direct contact somewhat with DC when they want to return your calls. What's your take on that?
I get the impression that basically everything runs through Bendis right now, as far as as long as it wasn't Batman at the time, last time I heard from anybody over there, everything pretty much has to run through Bendis right now, as far as the cloak continuity and the editorial decisions. I think we talked about it a couple months ago that the editors are really nothing much more right now than spell checkers and people to go get coffee and coffee gophers and stuff like that.
Well,
they're terrified to actually stand up to any of these elder statesmen in the comics industry. So
their job is basically to make sure the books come in on time, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's officially. I think that's unfortunately what it's come down to, and unofficially, I'm sure that they do things in the background where it doesn't get completely out of hand and things don't go completely off the rails, but for the most part, they're just letting the creators decide, and the creators don't know what's going on. So.
Is everyone under the same impression that I am, that they are basically preparing or priming Brian Michael Bendis for an ascension into like a CCO role, where he'll be the chief creative officer over everything, and he'll probably write a title or two, but he'll be the guy that's over all the creative decisions?
Yeah, I think that's probably. I think, unfortunately, until the bottom falls out, that's probably what's going to happen. He's got too many of his people now and too many key roles over there. As far as you hire Bendis, you hire his team, and they're kind of steering the ship right now until it's proven that they don't know where they're going. So it's. And honestly, who can keep track of 17 books right now?
Well, yeah, in March he's going to be responsible for 1 out of every 5 DC comics. He's going to be either writing or they're going to be under the imprint that he's in control of.
Yeah,
it's staggering.
It's mind-boggling, really, because I can't think of anyone who's. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I guess you had some creators back in the 80s who were handling about 6 to 7 books for a while, but it's basic. and essentially when you get somebody like Bendis, though, he struggled when he was writing 3 to 4 at Marvel. So I really don't understand whose idea. Didio, and just answered my own question there. But and I think it all comes down to cost. It's got to be cost, because it costs them so much to get Bendis and his team that they just don't have the resources to to pay the good you don't have pay good writers to pay good editors. So we get you get what you pay for, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's, what's up?
Nothing. You know what?
I hate to be a downer on that, but the proof is in the pudding. You keep looking at what happens week after week, month after month, and you see that the titles themselves, don't make any sense. There's no continuity between one and the other. You have this epic releases that come out in the Murphyverse, and of course with Doomsday Clock as well, and they don't know how to integrate that into currently what Bendis has in mind for the universe, for the DC universe going forward. So somebody's clock's going off.
Somebody's doorbell.
No,
it's
my
11
clock,
o'clock
sorry.
somewhere.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. But they don't know how to integrate. They don't know how to integrate that storyline into what's going on now. And Bendis isn't really going to help them, because he's got his agenda that he's got to push. So,
well, on the legacy numbering, the one thing that I was thinking was, all right, so we figured out the math on it. Batman would be at issue 851 right now. I think between what's left in the current run before 5G plus what's going to happen in 5G, they may be planning it so that Batman 900 is the issue where Bruce ends up back as Batman again. That would be my plan, but that's still, you have 49 issues to fill of let's say even 10 of those issues are before 5G, or 15 of them, whatever it is, at around 100. Then you still have 35 issues. So you're looking at, even if they're pumping them out at 2 issues a month, you're still looking like a year and a half of 5G.
Yeah.
And
it's probably about right.
I don't know if 5G can survive for 18 months.
Not as
the replacement. Yeah, with I don't think they can survive for 18 months without the real heroes.
Nope. They won't.
Yeah. And so I don't know if we'll ever be able to get it back. I mean, yeah. Udiously, about 6 months. That's probably all that they have worth of the ability to continue without the big guns before people just stop giving a shit.
Well, the problem is that the readers, most of the hardcore DC readers like us, are already rejecting this before it's even out. We hate the idea of it already. I'm not sure, I wasn't in the comics when the New 52 hit, but I don't know if that was immediately rejected by the DC fan base. This just sounds like it's gonna be immediately just rejected and turned away. So I don't give it past. I think they'll force it down our throats for about 8 to 12 months, and then they're gonna just get to that number with sales again, where somebody's gonna say, "Hey, these are way too low. It's time to reboot and shuffle people around again and bring the big guns and stuff back." But I think they're gonna ram it down our throats as long as they can, before that happens.
I think unfortunately, well, getting back to what you said about the New 52, the one the one thing that we had at that point was Batman was fantastic with the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but I'm talking
there
like
was some really good writing at that time, and now we just don't. You know, we've got Tynion, who, God help him, he's still better than King, but you know that's still unproven at this point. So how will Tynion go forward for a few dozen issues until 5G, and then is there going to be enough? Is there going to be enough of
But
that arc left over to reboot and actually keep going forward after 5G?
Well, my question is, because I wasn't into comics at all before the New 52 started, was there like, did everyone know what the New 52 was going to be like before it hit? I like, did you have news like we do about this 5G, or was it kind of like a mystery?
We had some news. I remember the first thing I heard about it was on like a CBR article or something. It was like Superman and Lois Lane are no longer going to be married. I remember reading an article about that right before New 52 dropped. That was like the first thing I heard about it.
Okay, so there was kind of like news about it. So you kind of sort of knew some of the things that were coming, like Superman and Lois Lane weren't going to be married anymore and stuff. But like I don't know. It just seems like when the New 52 started, there was basically an acceptance of it. Yeah, and the sales were really high and stuff. With 5G, I just don't see anyone saying, like anyone at all saying, even the casual people like that I know that don't read comics, that just know DC, and I'm telling them about it, and they're like, "This sounds so stupid." Like, you don't even have the normies interested by this. So, like, I don't know. I think it's just going to fail. I think it's DOA. I think it's already dead on arrival. Like, it's not even gonna. It's not going to make any kind of an impact at all. It's just going to be a complete and total waste of a year on DC. It's going to lead to terrible sales. And I mean, hopefully at the end of this, they finally realize, like, okay, this is the second time we've given Dan Didio his universe and it's failed again. We need to just boot that guy out of creative control, like get him out. I don't know. Hopefully that's the one good thing that'll come from this, but I don't see.
There could be multiple good things come out of 5G. I think that there are going to be characters that people like that hit. There might be a version of Green Lantern or a version of Flash that people really get to. It might even, create its own ultimate type universe. I think that's what DC is wanting. But I think the best thing that could happen is when they bring in some new writers, put different writers on different characters. We might find out that, like I said before, James Williamson. Williamson might end up being a great Green Lantern writer. We just never knew it, but he gets a chance to work on Green Lantern. Maybe they bring in some of the younger talent, some of the unproven talent. They bring them into DC for a short, maybe 5-6 month run on a character, and we find out they are ready for the prime time, and maybe they can get an infusion of new talent and ideas into DC, when they come back to the new universe or to the regular universe, because we do know that's going to happen. So I don't think 5G is going to be a huge waste of time, but I do think that enthusiasm isn't going to be strong, and they probably will lose some sales.
Yeah. I mean, no matter how big the turd, there's always nuggets of gold in it. Like, you're going to find good creators who are going to do good stuff. But I don't know, just like I'll definitely read the Summer Crisis event because I will buy anything Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo do together. But I mean, I'm kind of viewing that as like the definitive end to my DC for the time being, which was supposed to be Doomsday Clock. But, I
think it was for a lot of people. I do see DC fans that are holding out hope, for the Crisis event. They really are. They're like, okay, this is what I'm this is what I'm holding my hopes and dreams on, because this thing with Bendis isn't working out. So, we're going to see what happens. And I hope for the best for them. I really, really do.
Oh yeah.
It's got to, I don't want to see DC continue to struggle and for these long loved characters to just, go down in flames in this painful death. But it's unfortunate right now that we keep seeing over and over again that the wrong decisions keep being made over and over again, and maybe they can turn it around with this. I got my fingers crossed. I've seen DC in bad spots before, and they've been able to get themselves out of it. So You know, it's. I wonder how much of it's luck, really, but and how much of it's going to be tied to a lot of. I think they expected a lot more pizzazz and a lot more energy coming out of the crisis event that was on television, quite frankly, and people just didn't turn up really to watch it.
Well,
so,
part of that is because they split it instead of having it happen in 1 week. They added a month between episodes because the next episodes haven't even come out. The last parts of it haven't even come out yet.
exactly.
If they would have done it in 1 week like they've done the previous crisis, it would have been huge and it probably would have been popular. But any degree of momentum it could have created that could have theoretically even possibly translated in the comics got killed the minute that they split it into 3 parts and then 2 parts.
Here's how
Kinda
disjointed. Oh, I'm sorry.
So you want to get kind of back onto the comic stuff. We have a viewer, Jamal Lewis, saying, so what is the right direction for DC? I haven't heard from you here in a little bit, Dylan. What do you think would be the right direction? Even following 5G or maybe for 5G or instead of 5G, what do you think would have been the right direction?
The right direction would have been to keep going down Jeff Johns' visions with Rebirth. What we had with that, and how Rebirth was the beginning, and then Doomsday Clock was going to continue that. I think Rebirth had the right sort of mission statement, which was, okay, we're going to take the things from the New 52 that worked that you guys liked, but we're also going to restore some classic characters and relationships. Like Green Arrow and Black Canary weren't a thing in the New 52, so they made them a thing with Rebirth, and that was a huge thing the fans loved. They brought Wally West back. Superman was pre-New 52 Superman again. There was a lot of things that they restored, but then they also did Superman Reborn, to where they merged him with New 52 Superman, because they're like, okay, we see there's a lot of people that like New 52 Superman as well. We don't want to ignore you. I think DC Rebirth was very much just something that everyone got behind and was a big fan event, and I think we need more of that, to where it's like, okay, you guys are the ones buying comics. What will make you buy more comics? Here's stuff that you like, and that we can make good stories and then present more good story opportunities. So let's do this. And then it just got killed with King going off the rails with the whole Batman Catwoman wedding thing, that was that whole fiasco, and then Bendis coming in, and you just, man, because Rebirth was still going strong with Tomasi and Jurgens on Superman Action Comics, and then Bendis came in and really killed it, and Doomsday Clock getting delayed, and everyone having their own huge events and not really knowing what's the important one. I think that what Jeff Johns originally set out to do with Rebirth was the right way to go, and it's been a while, but I still feel like they could redirect it that way if they really wanted to, and fans wouldn't care and be like, oh, but it's been so long. I don't think anyone would care. I think people would be happy if they redirected and went back that way, and just lead into Doomsday Clock. That's what I would say. It's just lean into that. Be like, okay, we have a good template here. Let's go with what Doomsday Clock set out to do. I think that would be the right way to go forward.
Yeah, I think everybody at this point, all DC fans, would take a mulligan.
Yeah.
Okay, this the last, however, last 16 months, whatever, we can just consolidate all that time that Doomsday Clock wasn't coming out. We could just pretend that all that came out on time, and we're going to start from there and go forward. And that would be brilliant. That would be absolutely brilliant. And
well, they absolutely could do it, because, in issue 12 of Doomsday Clock, it basically sits out there that you can have any universe, because once Superman arrives, he's basically creates a new metaverse, correct?
Yeah,
right.
So they could go in and recreate any one of those timelines, and through Doomsday Clock. But of course, the farther away they move away from Doomsday Clock in issue 12, the harder it would be to actually execute it. Obviously the perfect timing would have been the week after.
Yeah. But I think that there's enough hope, hope as far as DC readership, that they would take the mulligan at this point. Just say, okay, editorial messed up, Didio messed up. Let's just kind of go back. Let's fix this, right the ship right now.
What this feels like to me is they didn't like that New Age of Heroes didn't work. So because
It didn't
people
work because they didn't promote it. That's
Well, they
why.
Well, they kind of promoted it a lot.
They promoted it at first, and then they pulled the plug on it like 6 issues in. Then they pulled all the good artists and writers off of it. They let it die.
No, that's perfectly valid. But the other reason why is because first of all, there's two things that failed with that, and I think they're trying to correct them. Well, in their mind, correct them. One, they threw. Now, this one's one that is objectively true. They tried too many new things all at once. Instead of piecemealing new titles, new characters in over a period of time, they tried to just shove like 8 new books out there with all new creative teams out of one thing. But the problem is that this is what they're trying to correct in their minds, is the customer still had a choice. They're trying to take away the choice to force you into it this time.
Yep.
And that's what 5G is. It's New Age of Heroes without the choice to keep reading Superman.
One of the problems with New Age's Heroes is some of the top name art talent, which is what it was essentially promoted on. It was a master class of DC art talent. They were all top billed over the writers, even the ones with Scott Snyder and some of the big name writers. But the artists were dropping off within 3 issues of some of those, and people were reading the articles and be like, "Oh, Jim Lee didn't last an issue on his." Ken Rocafort is falling off. 3 issues in. Why would I even want to pick up Immortal Men? Which hadn't even come out yet. And I think that news getting out kind of torpedoed the effort. And I think people saw the writing on the wall that maybe this isn't the master class of DC artists. But there were so many good books in there. It's really sad what happened.
Well, yeah, they promoted it as exactly with those words, exactly the master class. And I remember, I pre-ordered every single book from my local comic shop. And then I remember hearing issue 2, Jim Lee's off of Immortal Men. I'm like, oh, and then Tony Daniel issue 3 is off of Damage. After issue 6, John Romita Jr. is off of Silencer, which John Romita Jr.'s work is hit or miss for me, but I actually liked what he was doing with Silencer. But I mean, yeah, that's what happened with it. It's just and then you saw series actually get shortened. Immortal Men was when I pre-ordered that, no one said anything about it being a 6-issue miniseries. And then issue 2 came out and they're like, oh yeah, there's only 4 more because we're just dropping it at 6. That book was awesome, and they just I do agree with the point that they tried to do too much new stuff at one shot, but I also think that that's perfectly accurate now to say now they're just not giving you a choice. It's you're gonna love this or you're not. You're gonna read this or you're not gonna read anything at all. We're taking the choice away from you, and that's bullshit.
Yeah, they're making the one major mistake again, but they're hiding the repercussions of it or the risk from themselves. Which is they're going to put you, the customer, in an untenable position where you can either stop reading Batman or you can read this thing that we're calling Batman. It's the same way but they're doing it all at once. The same way that Marvel did it with Marvel Now and especially with All New, All Different Marvel Now. And then, it's the same crap and it's the same mistakes, but they're trying to put the customer in the position of being the one that has to suffer, quote unquote, suffer by having that hole in your collection or stop reading the book you've been reading for 20 years because they don't want to actually have to deal with any of the risk.
Yeah, it's too bad. So I have noticed we have some new fans of DC, and it's not all bad. I don't want everyone to think, oh, there's nothing good at DC. There's plenty of good DC comics out there. Hawkman's phenomenal. Detective Comics is great. What are some of the other great ones that you're reading, Josh?
Flash is fantastic. Josh Williamson has been killing it on that. I know there are some people who don't like the Batman Who Laughs, but the Batman Superman title by Josh Williamson has been really good.
Yeah.
If you want to see your classic versions of Batman and Superman, go read that book. It's not the King Batman or the Bendis Superman. We already Teen Titans. That's a title that nobody ever seems to like
Glass is
pop
killing
on,
in that
but
book.
yeah, like I was really worried about that book when Glass took it over from Percy, but he's been killing it. His whole run's been fantastic, and they've managed to keep. I think Bernard Chang is the artist on that. They've managed to keep him for basically the entire run. I don't remember seeing a fill-in for him, and they're doing this good storyline with Damian right now, and his brother coming back, his evil brother clone, and it's just really cool. It's like a nice nod to some of Damian's history, and there's good titles at DC yet for sure. Curse of the White Knight though, anything Sean Gordon Murphy does, man, it's the best stuff. I actually put the comment in the chat earlier about I think at this point maybe we should just kill the entire DC universe and then just make the Murphyverse the Prime universe. Just let him take over everything.
So I know, Dylan, you're a big fan of Justice League right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like Justice League for the most part. I have not been a fan of the portrayal of Lex in that book, but story overall is pretty good. The art is fantastic. Like all the different artists you have on there, like Jimenez, and it's great. But the story's been interesting. I like the last issue. It is a little cheesy because it's very much like, do you believe in justice or doom? We must get the people to believe in justice again. And they hold hands and then have to get people to believe in justice. But yeah, it's a fun story besides what's been going on with Lex. I think how Lex has been portrayed is completely out of character for him. Besides that, yeah, Snyder's done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
What I was saying
So it's
before.
like every time someone believes in a superhero, like an angel gets her wings or something.
Basically, yeah. There's this part where Lex is attacking the Hall of Justice, and Batman's defending the Hall of Justice, and then you have Wonder Woman, Superman, this different Starmen, and all these people holding hands around a table, and they're like, "We must get the people to believe in justice," and they're there, they're like, "Reach out harder," and then people start believing in justice, and the symbol in the sky changes. So that was interesting to say the least.
Is that where the Hall of Justice came to life and actually, started flying and stuff like that?
Yeah. Because that was one of Batman's provisions or whatever that he had, just in case if anyone attacked the hall.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I guess Doc isn't feeling very well and he needs to jump out. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. I think I'm just getting sick.
All right, you got a comic you want to recommend before you hit the bricks?
Since we're talking DC, Flash Forward and Curse of the White Knight.
Boom. Get
All
on
right.
those books. Thanks a lot, Doc. Really appreciate your time, buddy.
Thanks for taking
brother.
time for us, Doc.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm still not feeling well, and Doc's not feeling well. So if it's been a little bit more negative than normal, guys, I apologize. It's just we've been under the weather as far as not feeling the best. So,
Yes.
That's what I said earlier, though.
Out on the channel last weekend. If you were here, you might have noticed he all set the low tea on us and didn't have all the energy as he normally has.
It was bad. I crashed. My blood pressure crashed, and I just kind of almost face planted over here next to the computer. It was pretty funny.
Oh,
but
man.
Yeah. And it's like, and I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that before, but you almost like you have a panic attack because you all the panic centers in your brain start going off, and you're like, oh God, am I dying? What's going on? So it kind of messes with you for several days. So, so I've not felt the best, and Doc's feeling bad. So, but what I was saying before earlier, the best way that you can look at this right now is find the creators that you've historically always liked, and the artists that you've always liked, and keep following those guys. Keep supporting them, keep buying the books that they make, and that's eventually what will work out, because as people continue to follow those guys, they're the ones that can keep getting work, and eventually, it will follow the money. So it's just right now they're trying different things. and it may not work, but as long as you follow the characters you like, that you'll always be happy with your purchase.
So I guess it's time to move on into the last topic. I guess if people haven't noticed, there's a ticker on the bottom. We haven't had that before. It's basically got all the topics that we're going to. So we have one more. It's a Black Label update. I'm going to definitely be sending this to Pele. Following delays with Superman Year One, Batman Last Night on Earth, Birds of Prey, and Joker, Harley Quinn, Criminal Sanity. Dan Didio is taking some action. I like this story. I'm enthused about this. And this is his quote. He says, "Our plan is to make sure we're consistent in the material we're putting out and that it's strong and that it comes out on time. We will not be soliciting anything until we are clear that this material will come out as scheduled with regards to DC Black Label." How refreshing is that?
As long as they stick with that, yeah. I mean, that's basically been the whole thing going forward. Is you get a lot of premature stuff, that's not ready for prime time, and it leaves people kind of confused as to where the stories are heading, where the characters are heading. So it's if you gotta sit back and just not publish anything at all for a while, like we said, take a mulligan, take some time, then that's better than going in the wrong keep continuing to go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, because it's weird. I think we've all been waiting for the 3 Jokers, right? For 2 years now.
Yeah.
Jason Fabok has been releasing pages from issue 3. We know it's a 3-issue miniseries. Like, when is this thing coming? But I wish they just hadn't mentioned that they were ever going to publish it. And that way, when it finally came out, it'd be like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok, the 3 Jokers. And instead, we're all going, "Well, we know it's almost done. Where is it?"
Yeah, it's been so long. I can't wait for that book, though.
It's been a long time because that was revealed in Rebirth, the one shot from 2016, and before that in Justice League number 50, I think, or 52 or something like that. You're looking at 3 to 4 years almost since we got the teaser for that story.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Black Label is one of those. It's not all good. I did not like Superman Year One. There's some. I don't like that they're putting in like the Young Animal and the Sandman universe stuff in there as well. There's some really cool stuff in there. Last Night on Earth was a really fun book. Yep. I thought Batman Damned is one of the most beautifully illustrated comics I've ever seen in my life. Didn't love the story as much, but just to have that book in that plus size format, that premium plus format, it's like a work of art. And then The Last God right now is just, I love fantasy books, and it's easily my favorite like fantasy comic book right now. So there's a lot of good stuff going on with DC Black Label.
Yeah, it's ironic right now. The best thing that, in my opinion, the best thing that DC is publishing is a fantasy comic. What? Yeah, it's really that good. This is really, really good stuff. The artwork is really bold. It's beautiful. The storytelling is, it's good. I enjoy it because I love high fantasy and whatnot. But if you really love fantasy and you enjoy that particular more bold, more detailed artwork, then you'll really like this. And I don't think that I've seen sales numbers and stuff like that on it. They're not the greatest, and they probably should be. More people need to keep buying these types of titles so that we keep getting these I won't say one-offs, but that we keep that way we can see newer things going forward, because they're just going to keep rehashing the old stuff. I think unfortunately, if you don't start voting with your wallet now, you're just going to be painting a bad picture going down the road.
And how can I forget about the 2 of the best series out there? I'm going to throw this to Dylan because I know you're a big fan. Like, Jeff Lemire has 2 awesome titles on Black Label right now.
Yeah, with Killer Smile in question, he's doing a great job. Jeff Lemire, I've been ever since I first started reading Green Arrow 52 with him. I've been championing Jeff Lemire. He's been doing a great job with pretty much everything since then, and he's doing great with those books. I'm excited to see where Question goes, and Killer Smile is about to wrap up. That issue 2 was insane. I do wish the page count was a little more, because you could tell he had to rush some things. There's some things that kind of like go from one page to the next. It's like, okay, there was some progression there that we kind of missed, but I don't blame him. It's kind of just, it's like a 32-page, 3-issue series, so he's kind of got to rush some things to make things work. But yeah, it's been really good. He's been killing it, and Andrea Sorrentino is so good.
Yeah, they really stepped out their game, because I read the first issue of Killer Smile, and I was like, well, they're going a little bit more in depth on the Rorschach prison psychologist story, but it feels like the same thing. But then they just completely change it in the second issue, and like Joker has really done a number on his mind, and the artwork from Sorrentino just really was phenomenal in that one. I loved it. That was a great issue.
Yeah.
And what did you think about the question? I don't think we ever talk about that one on the channel.
I like the question. The art was kind of meh, but it was a good first issue. It was solid. It wasn't anything that blew me away, but I liked it. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. But yeah, when does issue 2 come out? Do we know yet?
Next week.
Next week. Okay, I'm excited for that because I liked the first issue, but it didn't blow me away. But Killer Smile was kind of the same way, and then the second issue came out and was really, really good. So I'm hoping issue 2 is that way. But question is held back a little bit by the art. I wish Sorrentino was on that as well.
I kind of wish, they'd separated the 2 issues or the 2 books and let Jeff Lemire write them both and Sorrentino or illustrate them both. It would have been so much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it would have been great.
All right. Are you reading anything on Black Label right now we need to talk about, Josh?
I mean, I think all the stuff that I've been reading has been covered. Curse of the White Knight, I can't advocate for Sean Gordon Murphy enough. I really, really liked Batman Last Night on Earth. I'm sure we all know how much of a mark I am for Snyder and Capullo, and that just felt like the perfect send-off to their run with Batman. As a real treat for someone who, got into comics through their New 52 run, and just all the references that they did to that and subtle references to things like metal and all that I just loved. I did read the first issue of Killer Smile with Joker, and I thought it was really milquetoast, but I have to read the second one. I do have it.
The second one is way better.
Yeah, so I'm interested to check that out. Just basically all the recommendations that you guys have all given. I think I'm like the only person that thought Superman Year One was good. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was excellent, but I was like, I was mildly. I read it in an airport, so that might have been something to do with it. I was very angry after a delayed flight, and I was like, I have these. I'll just read them. So that might have been why I liked it. It's just an escape, but I didn't think it was bad.
Sergeant Batts loved it.
Did he? That
yeah.
surprises me.
Yeah,
And I do want to
Batts
say,
loved it.
Ash is in the chats right now. He is a great YouTuber on his own.
Oh yeah.
He collaborates with the channel a lot. If you're not watching Ash on Comics, and he's mentioned his favorite comic book, Ascender, which I'm going to jump back to. But he also says Black Label. Don't forget, Blake Northcott got a gig. She's writing a Catwoman story with cover art by Sean Gordon Murphy, but it is not in the Murphyverse. So,
Is that Black Label?
It will not be in the Murphyverse. It will be another Black Label book. But I don't believe it is Black Label. But I am very excited about that. We just covered that on Geekspan. We're really happy about that. Is anyone reading Ascender? Ash has been talking this up for so long. It's in my read pile, but I haven't got to it yet.
No, I've not read Ascender, but I did read some of Descender, and it was really good.
So I think this one happens 10 years later. He says it feels a lot like Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see. Oh, we got old school comics in the channel. Great to see him here. What is he saying? You'll be happy you read the second issue of Killer Smile? Absolutely. It really picks up on the second issue. All right, guys. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about before we start recommending comics for the week?
I guess I've seen a lot of people talking in the chat about like us being pessimistic about DC.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, with the way that all of us, have this passion for DC and the way DC's been involved in all of our lives at different levels for all of us, but when you see bad stuff happening to like the thing you love, you can't help but be a little pessimistic. So just kind of bear with us. We all obviously hope we're going to be proven wrong, when 5G hits, and hopefully everything turns out to be good. But it's kind of hard not to be pessimistic about DC's current creative direction, especially with Bendis ascending to power and Dan DiDio being an idiot, and it's kind of hard not to be pessimistic. So I just wanted to kind of toss that out there.
Yeah, we kind of see what happened with Marvel now when Bendis took over, and the horrible turn that happened with that. And it took a Herculean effort by Marvel to kind of right the ship on that. And that's what we're afraid of, is we're seeing history repeat itself. And we're like, oh God, not again. Not again.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the face of, such an amazing work like Doomsday Clock and even the Murphyverse books and everything like that. There's so much to pull from and so much incredible talent that DC had available, and they go with somebody who just continually fails to do. This is not a new idea by Bendis. He keeps trying to do it with one publisher, then he comes over and he tries to do it again with another publisher, and it didn't work. It's not working, and so it's kind of like you want to pump the brakes, but you don't have control of the car. Mm-hmm. So it gets depressing. But follow the creators that you love, keep reading the heroes that you enjoy, and DC's not going away. They're not dying or anything like that. It's just, this is just not a great time as far as the main continuity is concerned. So, just overall, I'm talking about continuity overall. So, just kind of, stick with it, stay with those characters, stay with those creators, and eventually, your dollars will be votes, and they'll eventually get the ship righted, and things will be okay. But just for right now, it's like, oh God, not again.
Yeah, if you're a DC fan and you want to read good DC books, if you got Venditti, if you got Williamson, if you got Murphy on the cover, Tomasi, Jurgens, except for Nightwing, nobody can fix Rick Grayson. You're going to be reading the cream of the crop. You're going to be reading the best DC comics available, and they're all going to be good. So yes, that stuff is all there. We just think they've mishandled the top of the line and the most important properties. I love DC Comics far more than I like Marvel. I like X-Men a lot, and I like Daredevil a lot. But if I don't like a Marvel comic, even if it's an important character like Captain America, I just don't read it. It doesn't bother me. But when they do it to the DC Comics characters, the heroes that I'm really passionate about, it's hard to let it go. I want to talk about it. I want things to turn around, and I want them to get better, and I want people to understand where my perspective's coming from. So I'm trying not to be like overly negative or anything, but I have to be honest, because if I'm not providing honest content, then what am I doing here? I'm just saying stuff I don't mean. I don't want to be that guy. So if I come off as too negative, I'm sorry, but there is a lot of good stuff there at DC Comics. I know you feel the same way too, right, Dylan?
Yes, exactly. Like I would love to be praising everything that's going on basically right before Bendis took over and everything happened with Rick Grayson. I was huge on DC. What Benjamin Percy was doing with Nightwing was great. That was my favorite book at the time. Superman Action Comics were still solid. Like DC was thriving for me. And then all that happens. Like I don't want to complain about DC. This isn't what I want to do. It's just like I'm not going to sit here and just take what they're doing and act like nothing bad is happening. So you got to air out your grievances. But yeah, it's just it's sad right now. It's a little depressing.
It's the tail end of Festivus.
Yeah.
So this is the airing your grievances. So and I think that eventually it will work out. But they're going to have to realize that Bendis can't fix this, and
can only make it worse.
Yeah, right now he's only making matters worse. So just persevere, read what you enjoy, and just know that the continuities, and the stories and the main characters right now is kind of wonky. So
Exactly.
Yes, the continuity is really bad. But we kind of hit on that. I think it's time to let's end it on a good note. Let's talk about some of the good stuff. Let's talk about the weekly comic book recommendations. Josh, let's go to you first. What are you recommending for the viewers this week?
Are we talking for this coming week or the week that just passed?
I would prefer to be comics that are available for them to go to their LCS and pick up today. But if you want to talk about a comic that's coming out next week that you think is going to be great, put that in there too.
Okay, so I definitely recommend Batman 86. If you're tired of Tom King's crap and run with Batman, then it's a pretty good issue to pick back up, and it kind of starts that transition of him going back to the Batman we all know and love. I know next week Question Black Label book number 2 comes out. I'd recommend picking that up. That's really good. Last week seemed to be a pretty light week. Light week. There we go. Couldn't say it. For comics. As far as like main series and stuff go, I would definitely recommend anything by Sean Gordon Murphy, Teen Titans, stuff like that, by Adam Glass. Just it's kind of difficult for me to recommend like individual issues because I'm kind of all over the place as far as books go. Detective Comics is great for you to pick that up. And I don't know when Curse of the White Knight number 6 comes out, but whenever that comes out, definitely grab it. I'll be there to get that. I'll be the first person in line. So yeah, I mean that's about it as far as my recommendations go.
All right, friend of the channel, contributor and YouTuber himself, Tevye Smolka, is recommending Excalibur, Batman 86, and the main X-Men book, and Amazing Spider-Man. Thank you very much, Tevye. Dylan, what you recommending this week?
Yeah, this week was a light week, definitely. So I'll probably be recommending some stuff that didn't necessarily come out this week. But for this week, I'd say Gideon Falls. Definitely check that out. That was probably my favorite ongoing series of last year. It's still going strong. Great art by Andrea Sorrentino. Jeff Lemire has been doing a great job writing that series. It's really creepy. What else came out? Batman 86 was a good palate cleanser. It wasn't the best book ever, but if you're sick of what Tom King's been doing and you want to get some more Batman, then definitely check that out. Detective Comics as always has been pretty solid. I'd say go back and read Superman Rebirth right now if you want some good Superman content, because there's like so many good deluxe editions and stuff that DC has out for Superman Rebirth and Action Comics. Because for my Bendis video, I reread Oz Effect. That story's still great. So definitely recommend checking out Oz Effect if you haven't read that out. And I also, I was getting sad about G.I. Joe recently, so I went back and read some G.I. Joe. So I'd say the sort of mid-2000s IDW G.I. Joe was pretty great with what Chuck Dixon was doing during that, and what Mike Costa did as well with Cobra's Last Laugh. So I'd say go read G.I. Joe Cobra's Last Laugh. It's a great G.I. Joe story if you haven't checked it out.
Okay, so Tevye is also saying Young Justice was so bad he abandoned ship. If you want to hear some information about Young Justice, it just so happens that the salty one himself, Pele, and I will be talking in depth about that comic in our segment we call the Worst of the Week, and it should be out, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. I have a schedule, but I don't remember exactly when it's coming out, but it'll be out in a few days, and we got some stuff to say about Young Justice and the quality of that.
And it's not just Marvel though. It's not just DC though. We've got some Marvel. We got some Marvel trash too. So
stuff to talk about.
Oh god,
we have a nice full 20-minute show on that one. March Hare is recommending The Plot, Batman Beyond, Ghost Rider. FF2 is recommending Family Tree by Jeff Lemire, X-Force number 5, and Batman 86. All right, Ash on Comics. The Joe Rogan of comic books YouTube is recommending Ascender, Curse of the White Knight, Hawkman, Detective Comics, and Batman Superman. All great titles. All right. Oh, Dane Barrett. I hate to say it. He's our favorite viewer. He's my favorite commenter. Ghost Rider, Mr. and Mrs. X. Kelly Thompson. Get out of it. No, that's actually a good comic book. White Knight and Deadpool 2. Old School Comics is recommending Freedom Fighters. It comes to an end next week. Absolutely, that's a great series. Venditti knocked it out of the park. The art by Eddie Barrows is phenomenal. Pele, what are you recommending at the comic shop this week?
Okay, yeah, Batman 86. Just kind of go with it. You know, if you're a long-suffering DC fan, you're a long-suffering Batman fan, it is probably the best Batman book that's come out in 2 years. So I enjoyed it. I wish that, like I said, I wish Deathstroke fight hadn't been off panel, but it's still, still a really good book. He kind of comes to some conclusions and starts to heal from what's happened to him. And Hawkman number 20, it's I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good read, aside from, what else is going on at DC right now. The dollar comics are always great buys. Brave and the Bold 197 reprint this week. Let's see. And what we had at the shop was, actually X-Force was the buy of the week for the shop. But
wrong there.
Yeah, X-Force number 5. That's probably the strongest right now of the X titles going forward right now. Morbius number 3. If you like the character, if you like the gothic horror, I've enjoyed the Morbius series. Think it's they're kind of leaning into the movie right now, is what's going to be coming out as far as the film, and I think this will be a good series to pick up. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, I think this is an ongoing series, for at least for the time being. So I think that's unusual, but hey, there you go. And that's about what I've got this week. A little bit of a light week, but yeah,
all right.
That's all I got. Sorry.
Black Cat is recommending Symbiote Spider-Man, Batman 86, Batman Superman, Joker, Death in the Family. Josh, I already let you recommend comics. What are you doing, man?
I didn't have my list ready
over.
when you called on me. I was ready to answer, so I threw them out there. I had to look up what was coming out.
Thor number 1. That was a good comic. Also, Daredevil's great. Absolutely. And Dane Barrett is also recommending the Squirrel Girl Omnibus and Moon Girl. Shockingly, I wouldn't recommend those comics, but Dane Barrett says that everyone should be reading those right now. There you go. Okay. My recommendations, easily, it's not even close. This was the best comic I read in a wash. The Plot number 4 from Vault Comics. Yeah. A great series, and it's easily the best issue so far. If you like horror, like haunting stories, like, you'll be blown away by this story. It's amazing. Love the art, love the writing, everything about it's great. Plot number 4 blew my mind away. Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality, Peter David, and also Greg Land's art wasn't as good as the first issue, but it's still really good. Love that story. And then actually, Savage Avengers number 9 is pretty good. I'm not a big Jerry Duggan guy, but that's a good comic. And, of course, X-Force number 4. Those would be my recommendations this week. And I think that will basically wrap up the show. I want to say thank you to everyone that joined. That I like to thank the entire panel, everyone that came in and chatted in the comics, made the chats lively, and makes the show go by so much more. And a special thanks to everyone who contributed to the channel with super chats. We really appreciate that, and all that money is going to go right back into the channel with future projects that we're executing in 2020. Thank you all very much. Salamat po, and I'm out.